Welcome to the Folktale Project. This is Dan Scholes. Today's story is a Brothers Grimm tale. This is The Pack of Ragamuffins. The cock once said to the hen, "It is now the time when the nuts are ripe, so let us go to the hill together, and for once eat our fill before the squirrel takes them all away." "Yes," replied the hen. "Come, we will have some pleasure tonight." Then they went away to the hill, and as it was a bright day they stayed till evening. Now I do not know whether it was that they had eaten till they were too fat, or whether they had become proud, but they would not go home on foot, and the cock had to build a little carriage of nutshells. When it was ready, the little hen seated herself in it, and said to the cock, "You can just harness yourself." "I like that," said the cock. "I would rather go home on foot than let myself be harnessed to it. No, that is not our bargain. I do not mind being coachman and sitting on the box, but drag it myself I will not." As they were disputing, a duck quacked to them. "You thieving folks! Who bade you to go to my nut-hill? Wait, you shall suffer for it." And he ran with open beak at the cock. But the cock was not idle, and fell boldly on the duck, and at last wounded her so with his spurs that she begged for mercy, and willingly let herself be harnessed to the carriage as a punishment. The little cock now seated himself on the box, and was coachman, and thereupon they went off in a gallop, with "Duck, go as fast as you can." When they had driven a part of the way, they met two foot-passengers, a pin and a needle. They cried, "Stop, stop!" and said that it would soon be as dark as pitch, and then they could not go a step further, and that it was so dirty on the road, and asked if they could not get into the carriage for a while. They had been at the tailor's public-house by the gate, and had stayed too long over the beer. As they were thin people, who did not take up much room, the cock let them both get in, but they had to promise him and his little hen not to step on their feet. Late in the evening they came to an inn, and as they did not like to go further by night, and as the duck was also not strong on her feet, and fell from one side to the other, they went in. The host at first made many objections. His house was already full. Besides, he thought they could not be very distinguished persons. But at last, as they made pleasant speeches, and told him that he should have an egg which the little hen had laid on the way, and should likewise keep the duck, which laid one every day, he at length said that they might stay the night. And now that they had themselves well served, and feasted and rioted. Early in the morning, when day was breaking and everyone was asleep, the cock awoke the hen, brought the egg, pecked it open, and they ate it together. But they threw the shell on the hearth. Then they went to the needle, which was still asleep, took it by the head, and stuck it into the cushion of the landlord's chair, and put the pin in his towel, and at last, without more ado, they flew away over the heath. The duck, who liked to sleep in the open air, and had stayed in the yard, heard them going away, made herself merry, and found a stream, down which she swam, which was a much quicker way of travelling than being harnessed to a carriage. The host did not get out of bed for 2 hours after this. He washed himself and went to dry himself. Then the pin went over his face and made a red streak from one ear to the other. After this he went into the kitchen and wanted to light a pipe. But when he came to the hearth, the eggshell darted into his eyes. "This morning brings a tax upon my head," said he. And he angrily sat down on his grandfather's chair, but he quickly stood back up and cried, "Woe is me!" For the needle had pricked him still worse than the pin, and not in the head. Now he was thoroughly angry, and suspected the guests who had come so late the night before, and when he went and looked about for them, they were gone. Then he made a vow to take no more ragamuffins into his house, for they consume much, pay for nothing, and play mischievous tricks into the bargain by way of gratitude. And that is the Brothers Grimm's The Pack of Ragamuffins. This is Dan Scholes for the Folktale Project. Don't forget that you can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Overcast, anywhere that you like to get your podcasts. You can follow us on Twitter at Folktale Project. You can find us on Auto Radio and TuneIn Radio. And you can always head over to folktaleproject.com, where you'll find a new story waiting for you every weekday morning. Thanks for listening.